Thank you. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to spend the next 50 minutes, well, staying on time, talking about the marginal gains you can accrue by developing your mental toughness. Let's call it a game of inches. Marginal gains. It would seem that most people want to be successful, significant, or remarkable in some way. This includes not just sports people or business people, but environmentalists, caregivers, politicians, and even you. You are involved in a game of inches. You also need to accrue those inches. It would also seem that to be successful, significant, or remarkable in some way, you need to stand out in the crowd. You need a differentiator. Now, somewhere there, not there. In 2015, recently, England rugby stood out. But as we in South Africa say, ach shame, arme soties, they stood out for the wrong reasons. But in 2012, England stood out for the right reasons. They went at the London Olympics from a medal count in Beijing from 47 to 65. What happened? Did they suddenly get good athletes in 4 years? No. They squeezed more inches out of existing athletes. Usain Bolt always stands out. Seems to always win. In 2015, he won the World Championship Athletics, the 100 meters, not by, if you look at the clock, tick-tock. Not by tick, but by t. That's all that separates Usain Bolt from the rest. Famous Usain. T. Sports scientists say the difference between the gold medal and the fourth place, no medal, is 0.5%. 0.5% separates David Rudisha, 800-meter winner, will win fame and glory and money of note, to the fourth place, what's his name? He gets nothing. Nothing. Nada. 0.5%. Let's see what Al Pacino says about inches.
You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. Hell yeah. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing.
When we add up all those inches, it's going to make the big difference between winning and losing. Ladies and gentlemen, those inches are everywhere. Michael Lewis writes in his wonderful book and the movie Moneyball about baseball, true story. It's unbelievable how much you don't know about the game you've been playing all your life. I put it to you, it's unbelievable how much you don't know about purchasing. The difference, the obvious factors don't make the difference. We all know the obvious factors. It's in the less obvious factors that we get that competitive advantage that makes us stand out. What makes Tom Brady stand out? You heard of Tom Brady? Is it perhaps his wife, Gisele Bündchen? I guess that's a good enough reason to be upstanding. Or is it NFL? Tom Brady is the quarterback for the New England Patriots. They have won 4 Super Bowl finals in the final minutes. He says the only difference is mental toughness. So, I started speaking about mental toughness quite a few years ago. And I remember after my first talk, one of the audience members came up to me and said, well, that was nice. And I thought, nice? Nice as a cup of tea. And he rescued the situation by saying, well, you can improve by telling more stories. Stories? You know, you've been mind coach, the team manager, the Springboks, world champion, lifesaving. You must have so many stories of behind-the-scenes stuff to enthrall people. And I thought, yeah, well, I suppose you're right. I reflected on lifesaving, surf lifesaving, and looked through all my photographs. And I thought, no, I can't tell life-saving stories. I'm going to get in trouble. I can just see the media, the glossy magazines. No, it's not going to happen. So, no life-saving stories. Then I thought about, what about rugby? You know, players, coaches, there must be stories there. Thought about the players. Nah, they're sort of like lifesavers. Not as bad, mind you. I can assure you, lifesavers are here. Rugby players are still a bit naive. But nevertheless, then I thought about the coaches. Coaches, surely there's good stories around the coaches. And I've known a few over 20-odd years. Been around there. And I remember the first time I was asked to work with the Springboks. I got a phone call from Morné du Plessis, and I thought, wow, this is 20 years ago. Well, this is fantastic. I was nervous and excited and went into the team room, and I started the session with a kind of normal facilitator type thing, was, do you have any what are your expectations? Are there any questions? And there was a sort of awkward silence. And from the corner, a Joburg accent said, ja, but I've got a question. Who the hell died and put you in charge? I knew I was in for a hard time. And my rugby stories are all like life-saving stories. I will be unprofessional to share them, and I'm back in the media if I shared them. So I thought, well, hang on, where do I get my stories? I get my stories, or firstly, explain to you the old saying of what goes on tour stays on tour. Well, that is, unless you're an ex-player or an ex-coach, then what goes on tour goes in my book. Well, I suppose that's the rule. So my story comes from the PhD that I did on mental toughness. It was on the Springboks. So it kind of gave me a good background to mental toughness. But I move away from academia when I tell the stories because academia will send you to sleep. I cherry pick a bit. I go down a slippery slope of telling my own stories, showing you a few video clips, as you saw Al Pacino. I refer to a couple of books. And by the way, referring to a couple of books, I don't expect you to read them. Why would you do that? But note that those of you that don't read have no advantage over those that can't. In fact, I'm aware that most people spend more on toilet paper than they do on books. I refer to luminaries that have shown mental toughness, and I refer to sport. Lots of sport, particularly rugby. Surprise, surprise. I wonder why. Okay, let's start with football. FIFA World Cup 2010. Winners, Spain. FIFA 2014, Germany. But in the FIFA 2010, was there another winner? Do you remember?
This time for Africa.
You must remember when they said we're going to have the World Cup, the naysayers would say, you go there, they're going to rob you blind. They'll kill you. But it was amazing. And it wasn't amazing because of Bafana Bafana or Safa. It was amazing because of you. You made us the world admiration winner. My question to you is, in your industry, in your education institution, can you become world admiration winner? Because there's no kind of FIFA World Cup for you, but you can be the most admired. Woody Allen said 80% of success is just turning up. You just got to be there, and you could be more successful than most. Now, I know this is going to sound corny, but in England, Argentina, and Brazil's case, do you think they turned up? You know, in England's case, despite Rooney, they were ruined. And despite Messi, Argentina got in a mess. And in 2010, despite Kaká, Brazil was awful. And in 2014, he didn't even play and they were cuck. At the Super Rugby teams, there's one that's known for not turning up. They've got a reputation. And it's not the Sharks. I believe the only final they turn up to is the Jeffreys Bay surfing finals. Ask Mick Fanning. No, it's the wonderful old Stormers. And their captain was interviewed at one of their many mishaps, and he was asked, well, what happened? He says, man, I don't think we turned up. And I was there, I saw they were all playing. But he didn't mean physically, did he? Yeah, exactly. There's more to turning up. You can turn up at this conference and say, entertain me, I dare you. Or you can think, I'll learn something from these oaks. I can synergize, I can put things together. I've got a college as well. I'm CEO of ETA College, and I go around to the various universities to network. And I went to Professor Paul Avis, the late Professor Paul Avis at UWC, and he spoke about 3 factors for mental toughness. The first was socialization. He says, it depends on how you've been socialized. What's your reference points? When the going gets tough, have you got something you can say, that was far worse than this? It's like a boxer. They've trained their brain. When a boxer gets punched in the nose, it hurts far less than if you got punched in the nose. He also spoke about food. He says, eat for your mind as well as your body. And he says, be very careful that you're not taking powders, pills, and potions. I'm talking healthy foods. If any of you in this room are slicking whey powder and vitamins, and they haven't been prescribed by a dietitian, and I mean dietitian, not nutritionist, those are just people that say, hey, eat this. Dietitian, a qualified person. If you're not diagnosed to need that stuff, or you're not training 5 hours a day like a sportsman, you're just creating very, very expensive urine. And finally, he said, sound mind and a sound body. Train, exercise. But he said to me, this thing, mental toughness, the language of extravagant proportions, extravagant claims, spoken by many people and understood by few. Why don't you study it? Do a PhD, I'll supervise you, and you can become an expert. You can stand in front of an audience and say, trust me, I'm a doctor. Now that's dodgy. That is the most dodgy claims. As you know, so many people that just claim the title anyway, even in government, that it's dodgy. Someone maybe you can trust on exercise, and it seems on nutrition too lately, is Tim Noakes. And he said their research indicates the mind, not the body, regulates fatigue. In other words, you think you're tired long before you're tired. Obviously, the muscles are the ultimate arbitrator. But because you've learned, that's when you're tired. So you give up. It works like a fuel gauge. Ping! The red light comes on. You think, empty. No! Reserve! There's lots. Now you beat the opposition. You don't say, oh man, how do you know? I know some people that can operate on the fumes of petrol, let alone petrol. Well, that's a funny statement. Now, don't reach for your cell phones, don't phone a friend, I'm going to tell you. It's the ability to manage your mind so you do to manage your mind so you direct your energy to the right place at the right time for the right reason. You do not waste your energy. Then you'll give your best performance consistently, despite what's going here or out there. And the secret is, there is no secret. They're just 7 components that will give you inches. There they are, and we'll go through them, and they're on my website. The first one, concentration. Concentration is about living more proactively. It's about increasing your desire for the future and about reducing the anxiety for the future. It's about developing and balancing intention with attention. Intention, what do I want? What are the outcomes? Attention, what must I deal with right now? And as you become mentally tougher, those two blend. They become one. Martin Luther King had purpose and passion. But did he achieve his intention in his lifetime? No. Did it matter? Probably not. If he had, he just got another intention. Intention gives you purpose and passion to navigate the future. Steve Jobs said in his book, "Your time is limited. Everything falls away in the face of death. All fear of embarrassment, all fear of failure. There is no reason not to follow your dream." So start navigating the future by setting a big, bold intention. Big, bold intention. And about 2 years ago, I wanted to get a big, bold intention for my college. So I put something together, which I thought was big and bold. Now, I knew that I was going to experience disappointment and dissonance with a kind of intention like that, but that's the price you pay to have passion and purpose. You can't have it both ways. But I'm not willing to let go of my intention or bring it down to my current reality. I'm going to leave it up there until it becomes the reality. Nazim Taleb writes in Black Swan, "There will be random, unexpected shocks and surprises that create gaps between intention and reality." That's where the dissonance and disappointment comes in. He followed that up with Anti-Fragile, where he spoke about gaining and growing from setbacks. It's not good enough just to become stress resilient. When bad things happen, you use them to gain and grow rather than shrink. Wonderful books, and you scaffold to greater heights. Success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. You've got to be busy. Daley Thompson was busy. In 1984, he won the decathlon, the world champion in the decathlon, gold medal at the Olympics. The press hailed him as the world's greatest athlete. They rushed to him and say, "Daley, why are you called the world's greatest athlete?" He said, "Well, maybe it's because I'm the best prepared athlete." Pray tell, what does that mean? So, well, if I give you an example, if I was competing against you and you were training twice a day, I'll train 4 times a day. If I was competing against you and you were training 3 times a week, I'll train 6 times a week. If I was competing against you and you're training in the rain, I'll train in the snow. I know whenever I went to a competition, I was the best prepared athlete at that competition. Maybe that's why they call me the world's greatest athlete. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody can out-prepare you. You can hide behind any excuse you like, your disadvantaged background, your gammy leg. Nobody can out-prepare you. Preparation enables you to give your best performance for longer. And that's sounding like a pharmaceutical ad, so let's get back to sport. You're unlikely to cheat your way to success. If you look at this guy training, he's keeping up with the group because he's cheating. You will not cheat your way to success. You've got to prepare harder than you play. Think about how you prepare. Are you bullshitting? Or are you actually preparing? Or when you go out to do an hour's training, or ending up doing 40 minutes? Are you saying I'll do 20 press-ups and you do 15? How do you prepare, or do you cheat? Bruce Lee, famous karate exponent, said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." Ladies and gentlemen, that's the man that's going to moor you. The second component is composure. It's the ability to observe without judgment. It has the added benefit that you start worrying less about the past. You are capable of managing the pressure of tense situations. You are ready for action with a calm demeanor. You do not let the pressure of the moment hijack you into a loss of composure. Oh, he's so passionate. No! He's losing composure. Don't confuse pain, desperation with passion. This is two different concepts. I would hate to know who's on the end of that, or be on the end of that microphone. Daniel Kahneman writes in Thinking Fast and Slow, our brain is hardwired. We can be hijacked by pressure, as you saw in the previous slide. Under pressure, we lose composure. We get trapped into thinking too fast or too slow. Become aware of which part of your brain is operating at all times, particularly under pressure, because you have a primordial brain with all your neurological baggage from your evolutionary past. It's an old instinctive brain which can be hijacked into too fast thinking. You make your decisions too quickly. You grab at the first solution. It's like the panic cage, a bird caught in a room, panicking. The other brain, and there's many more obviously, is your new rational brain, hijacked into too slow thinking, which takes too long to find a solution. Like a famous cricket team you may know. In fact, the best cricket team in the world, as long as there's no meaningful trophy at stake. When we're baited, pressure drives up excessive arousal. We get angry, we want to fight. In FIFA World Cup 2006, who was baited into a red card?
Now Materazzi did what? This is kind of give us a bit more of a clue. He said something? He certainly said something. Now what happens? He's saying some more. Well, the pictures tell the story. He leaves.
Zidane headbutted Materazzi. Why? Because Materazzi said something about his mama or sister or girlfriend. Doesn't matter. Guys are stupid. When it comes to women, they think they must protect them. They think they... So you say something about the woman, they moor you. What did he say? You can imagine. Hey, Materazzi, Italian. Zidane, I like her, your mama. She's got a nice, big, Hey, listen, if it was in Cape Town, Benny MacArthur or someone, it would be, Zidane, Jevit, your massa moer. Same thing. If you lose composure, life's probably going to red card you, yellow card you if you're lucky. Especially in purchasing. They put a statue up to Zidane. And it's in Qatar airport. Now, of course, the locals are in protest about this because how can you glorify this deed? And if I only could get to them, I could explain to them, as you know, in South Africa, our students would sort that out. Hey? They just, no problem. Hey? We know how to deal with this stuff. Or not. Which springbok would you bait? Which one's the obvious one if you want him to lose composure, to tip him? It's the one that's always showing his muscles. Too much testosterone, a couple little niggles, off. You beat 14 a lot easier than you beat 15. When expected to win, pressure drives up excessive arousal. You get fear. If you become afraid, you choke. And I'm sorry, it's them again. Zapiro said that the Proteas need batting practice. This is in 2004. You know Zapiro, Mr. Zuma's friend? In 2004, they need batting practice, bowling practice, fielding practice, and the Heimlich maneuver in case they choke. And they choke with impunity. A.B. de Villiers this year made the startling claim. It was in the press and on the posters. I took a photograph. Proteas thinking too much. Yes, but it still doesn't matter because knowing the problem doesn't solve the problem. It's the first step towards resolution, but you've got to do much more than just knowing it. We have to perform under pressure, all of us. No one's exempt. The challenge is to understand that you must practice under pressure. If you haven't practiced under pressure, you don't understand the role of pressure. Practice under pressure. What about this guy? Remember him? Ghanaian. Gian, hey? Ghanaian, or I don't pronounce it. Gian. Yeah. Samoa Gyan, that's right. How did he do under pressure? One kick is all they needed to go to the next round. What does he do for a living? He kicks. But what did he do before the kick? Now, some of you are going to find this not so cool, but this is what he did before he kicked. What is it? He was? That's just another form of thinking. If you're thinking about something that you're supposed to be instinctive about, you lose the skill set. This is him after the lack of kicking. Now, I have no problem with prayer, but do not pray before a kick unless you've practiced praying before a kick. Be like the other people. Pray afterwards. And I'd like to see some of them thanking the Lord for making them miss as well. Because it is all him whether he hit or missed, isn't it? Now that's a routine to settle you. It's weird, and it's fine. Whatever.
Very superstitious, writings on the wall. Very superstitious.
Stevie, stop. Much in this life is irrational. That's cool. That's not a problem. There are myths and there are magic. But you've got to understand how it clouds your mind. You've got to accept the fact that invariably it puts you into a mental cage and you don't see beyond your little myth and your little bit of magic. I spoke to you about, I didn't actually, but I should have, that maybe I mentioned, supplements. There is no, go to the congresses, proof to support the claims they make. It's pure expensive urine, unless you're training 5 hours a day, like all of you do. How about this thing that was so ubiquitous recently? Everyone wearing their energy bracelet. $400 and what? I spoke to people wearing it. So why do you wear that thing? So I know, you see, it balances my energy meridians. It what? My chakras, my energy meridians. What? It what? Ahmed, leave me alone. $400 and a bit of plastic. And they said, well, it's the placebo effect. See, placebo. You see, if I believe it, it's true. But how can you believe a bit of plastic for 400 rand is going to make you balance your energy meridians? How? Leave me, man. Leave me alone. It's a wallet grab, ladies and gentlemen. You are being exploited for the rubbish you believe. I was coming back from France recently on the plane. They're selling these bracelets at 235 euros. The claim is the sleep bracelet picks up natural frequencies that are believed to improve the quality of sleep. What? Now, if you don't want other people to have superstitious nonsense, you've got to be careful about your superstitious nonsense as well. Because unless you clear yours, you can't take Koreans and Taiwanese, whoever they are, that are buying rhino horn and saying you shouldn't buy that stuff because they believe it affects their libido, improves their cancer. It's all a continuum, ultimately. If you want crime to stop, stop cheating, stop speeding, stop getting parking tickets. Crime will stop. Be the example. How about smokers? Are they irrational? You bet they are. What part of smoking kills are you having a problem with? I am from Cape Town. I go up Table Mountain quite often. It's an invitation to a smoker to come up with me. When we're nicely on top, I'll push you over. It's a quick death. It's beautiful. You will not die from lengthy emphysema. It's wonderful. Come, die that way. Or if you're absolutely an addict, I understand that. Acknowledge your addiction because the cigarette is simply a pacifier. I've got an alternative. Is anything else always composed? The Big Easy, the name implies it.
Just don't get it.
Pull at your twist. Get lucky, please.
Yeah, he needs a bit of luck, and
And you got it.
he's got it. Yeah. What's a dose? Can you translate for us? No, you can't. All right. That's it.
The third component, we've only got 50 minutes, let's move on. Ernie, begone. Satan. Controlled aggression. It's increasing your intensity. When you've learned composure because you can, then introduce controlled aggression. Increase your intensity. Work harder. Work harder. Goya, not the painting, the acronym. Get off your ass. Success limited to arousal level or linked? Yes. If you don't get aroused, you're going to do nothing. If you're over aroused, you're probably going to stuff it up. He breaks the mold. He gets so aroused, he gets better. So my claim is in trouble. But him, I know it's corny, but he's got willpower. He says, you might be sexier than me, smarter than me, more talented than me, but you will never outwork me. Let's say we're in a competition, you on a treadmill, me on a treadmill. There's only two outcomes possible. One, I'm going to win. Two, I'm going to die because I'm not getting off before you. Nobody can outwork you. Nobody. Hide behind any excuse you like. Nobody can outwork you. Is it punishment? Well, to some it seems like it. But as Confucius, he say, when you choose a job you are passionate about, you will never have to work a day in your life. So magnify your strengths. Create anxiety in the opposition. Now, but you need to be believable. I don't care what's written on that dog's bowl. Ek skop hom sommer. Vertrek. Dog. Shane Warner's believable. When he bowled, you knew that you were in trouble. Because you didn't have to face that ball. You faced every ball he was capable of bowling. You never knew it was coming. He created anxiety in the opposition. The press said Warne summoned up panic, and like Warne's faithful dog, panic came panting up. Controlled aggression is usual rugby game for the Springboks. They exert pressure, they give abrasive play. Rod McQueen was with Harry Falloon when he was appointed coach. They all get someone. White got Eddie Jones. They were in the Kruger Park together, and Rod McQueen said, "Harry, I've had an epiphany." And of course, Harry's an Afrikaner, so he looked across at the seat and to see the epiphany. And you guys shouldn't be called Springbok, because a buck is agile and fast, and you guys should be called Buffalo, because buffaloes are big and strong, and thank heavens, from our perspective, they're stupid. You don't play rugby, you play thugby. In 2007, the Springboks won playing thugby. If you want to get bored stiff, watch the videos. The Boks don't pass the ball past the fly-off more than twice. Not in a game, in the entire tournament. They kick it onto the opposition. Whoever catches, they moor them. White said the Springboks are the only team in the world that can win matches without the ball. Give it to them. Now we can play. But Tim Harford writes, success starts with failure. I guess the English rugby team is feeling that's a good idea. But he also says develop more than one way to achieve an outcome. When the Springboks played England in June this year, whenever it was, recently, Jason Leonard was asked, what do you think the Springbok game plan is going to be? And he said, Springbok game plan, they're going to try and run over the opposition. That's game plan A. Game plan B, they'll try and run over the opposition.
Boom, 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 boom. We are going higher and higher. We are going higher and higher.
The Springboks will move away from their comfort zone in Rugby 2015. Yeah, tell us another. Are they trapped in a one-game mindset? Like a buck? Springbok? Confidence. And I'm going to run out of time, so we'll just get as far as we can. We needn't finish the presentation. With confidence, you are halfway to success. Without it, you're halfway to failure. Are you under, over, or supremely confident? Underconfident, big problem. Overconfident, deep trouble. Supremely confident, just right. Just right. Do you know any sportsmen who are extremely confident? He is. He's extremely confident. But I like this one more. Over the years...
When people ask me who I most enjoyed interviewing, I'm unable to give them an answer. If they ask me who was the most remarkable man I ever met, I answer without hesitation, Muhammad Ali.
When they told me I was going to do your show, it was an honor. I like people that make me think. You and your talk, and you know, it's a brainy man. He's not just an ordinary fella. You think it's easy, come take his position. You'll find out that I'm a witty person, and it's kind of hard to talk to a man like me.
Something that's
Don't point at me.
sorry. It's something that's...
See, we black folks don't like white folks pointing at
But it's all right for you to point at me. Huh? But why do you say that? I mean, do you mean that?
Say what?
You black folks don't like white folks?
No, I'm joking.
You're joking, eh? That's good.
The champion of the whole world can whoop every man in Russia, every man in America, every man in China, every man in Japan, every man in Europe, every man in America. The champion of the whole world. That sounded big then. So I kept working until I did it. Not only be champion of the whole world, but better than all of those before me.
I'm not going to argue with you.
You're not as dumb as you look.
Okay, let's just conclude the last few minutes or so with why are we afraid to express confidence? Muhammad Ali expressed confidence. I don't want to just be champion of America, of Europe, of England. I want to be champion of the whole world. And not just that, I want to be the best champion ever. So I kept on working until I did. That was the key. We don't want to be seen as arrogant. South Africans have a problem with that. And you can't mix up arrogance and confidence. They're two different things. You can do a lot with makeup, it's a different subject, but you can't make up arrogance into confidence. Now look what you can do with makeup. Makeup is absolutely amazing what you can achieve. You can do the most astounding things with makeup. Just a little bit of, and then a horse's ass. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, there's calculated risks, there's competence and commitment. You can read my website. If you please do, go to my website, steveharris.co.za, or Google me, Steve Harris. If you Google Steve Harris, you're going to get the Iron Maiden guitarist. I'd like to be him, but I prefer being me. I just down the list a bit. So, and I blog on all the stuff all the time. The books I wrote are on there. I'd love your feedback. Thank you for listening to me. Let's get the program back on time.